Charles has a fantastic view of this and a view that I share much of. So Charles, what do you think when you use the word deception? Let's start at the start, hopefully. What is the deception here?
Well, the deception is a bit complex because it's pretty clear that for quite a while, the U.S., until a few years ago, the U.S. government was, denying that the UFO manifestations had any reality or that they were of any danger and this and this and their weather balloons or swamp gas and whatever, and of course anybody who'd had experienced them knew that this wasn't true, but that was their line, but there's evidence that at the same time they were covertly planting stories here and there that suggested the reality of these. In other words, whistleblowers were coming forward in a more covert way than they are today. They weren't testifying before Congress, but they were, they were appearing and saying, I was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and I saw the crashed UFO, or I was at Area 51 and this is what, or they will plant, dossiers and information in various places to journalists, if we can conceive of the reality, and I believe this is real, of a social engineering project decades long, which was planned to last 30, 40, 50 years, this is done according to the Fabian socialist method. The Fabian socialists, their theory was essentially, well, you have a revolution like you do in Russia, and it may take over and this, but then you'll have a counter-revolution, or it'll be too much of an abrupt change, and so it won't last. And this more or less turned out to be true of Soviet Russia. Whereas with the Fabian socialist said you just spend generations changing the paradigm, changing the basic assumptions of the population. And finally, when the revelations come, they will say, well, this is what we expected all along, or when the change comes, and that way it's much more certain. It takes a lot longer, but it's much more certain.